right, hello friends. Today we are going up from the first chakra to the second chakra, Swadhisthana, or the home of the watery depths of your pelvis. So this is Tema. She's going to be helping to demonstrate the poses today, and we'll start laying down on your backs with your feet on the floor. So just get a nice, relaxed, comfortable position so that you can feel the weight of the pelvis against the ground. And Swadhisthana means in her abode or in her home, right? And her is that divine principle of the divine mother or the mother goddess, right? Who resides in the watery depths of the pelvis. So feeling the depth, right, of the pool of your pelvis as you breathe in and out, all the way down into not just the upper abdomen, but the lower abdomen as well. And beginning to get an essence of the fluidity of your breath, right, the ease of the inhales and exhales, and how they mirror and match, right, the fluidity of water as it flows, right? So water reflects and captures everything that is laid on its surface. And that is shown through the way in which we are emoting in our lives and the way in which emotions rise up and out of our inner unconscious out into the world around us. So Swadhisthana chakra is very important for the relational aspect of human life. So as we begin to gain more and more awareness, right, your focus goes down into the pelvic core. And as you stay there, you begin to see that there is a lot of hidden corners, right? Many hidden corners of the pelvic bowl itself, that it's wide and deep. And that your awareness can sink down as though you're diving into a lake, right? And entering those depths of the water. When you're ready, you'll just bring your feet a little bit closer towards your hips, yeah. And just imagine that there is a slight holding of the inner knees towards one another, just energetically. And then when you exhale, you'll press your low back curve into the ground, right? When you inhale, you just let the low back curve rise up off of the earth. So little pelvic tilts, right? And then exhale, you'll really press down the whole back spine against the ground. And then inhale, you'll feel a slight lift, really just the pelvic portion of your back up off of the ground. So we're not coming to a full bridge here, but we're bringing the awareness down to the base, right, the very base of the legs, where they intersect with the pelvis. Good. And these poses meant to energize and bring new life and vitality into the stagnation in the chakras, right? So the chakras, as you remember, are the intersection of many of the nadis, the energy lines or points, right? And the chakras themselves are where the most energy lines and points intersect along the spine. Right, and then with your next inhalation, you just gently lift the hips, right? Good. And then maybe just kind of rock the hips a little bit side to side, yeah. Maybe staying with a side to side sway of the hips, maybe you move into little circles, yeah. So the hips themselves, this whole pelvic girdle, right? The meeting place of the belly above it, the legs below it, right? Very important for the lower body here. And then exhale, bring your back down to the ground, right? And just relax here. You can take the feet wide, inner knees to touch in active rest position. Right? What that will do is deepen, right, the pelvis here so that you can bring the breath all the way down into the lower abdomen. Yeah, nice. Right, and then slowly extend the legs long on the mat here. You'll go ahead and bring your right knee in towards your chest. Yeah. And then just squeeze behind the thigh or behind the knee, whatever is most comfortable for you in Pavanmuktasana or wind relieving pose, right? So you're drawing the thigh, the upper thigh, in towards the lower abdomen. And you might even roll a little bit of the thigh side to side so that you can massage into the lower part of your belly, upper part of the pelvis. Right, and then you just switch, so extend the right leg long on the mat. Take a moment to feel the depth of the right side of the abdomen. Yeah. And then draw the left knee in towards the chest. Really, it's the thigh, right? The deep bend of the hip crease and the thigh in towards the lower abdomen rather than the knee pulling in towards the chest. So that you really deepen the fold of the leg. And you use the fold of the leg as a massage, right? For your whole body, especially the lower body and the abdominal organs, the pelvic core. Good. And then you'll lengthen your left leg long on the mat. Just lie down and feeling the weight of the pelvis, but the weight of the pelvis is sinking down and broadening out to the sides, as though it's a lotus that's opening to the light. Gently pull your knees in towards the chest. You'll roll over to the side. And then you'll come to stand up on all fours, your hands and knees. So supporting yourself on the mat, stacking the joints. And then when you're ready, you'll slowly release the hips down towards the heels, right, in your child's position. And a little rock of the hips side to side. Right? When we think of the water element, we don't really normally associate it with the pelvis because the pelvis often feels very stuck or stiff or kind of hard as concrete, right? So how is it that we can gain fluidity and gain more relaxation in the movement of our life, right? In the ebbs and flows of what we like and dislike happening and how we react to the changes in our life patterns. And that is really the essence of the Swadhisthana. It really is the moment at which we are relating to the way that life is presenting itself around us. So learning how to be like the water element, finding a way always around obstacles, meeting the obstacles and then moving around, softening them as the water turns. Good. Right? Next time you inhale, you'll slowly come up to all fours. And then when we begin to do a little bit of Ganesh Mudra, which is the rotation of the pelvis here. So as you exhale, you'll bring your hips over to the right side, down towards the heels. As you inhale, swing the hips over to the left side, right? And then come all the way forward, almost to an upward facing dog. You can even lift the chin, the chest. Good. And then exhale to the right and back. Inhale to the left and forward. Right, and let the movement be very smooth here. So if you find yourself stopping or starting, right, you are beginning to see where the jagged edges are, right, in the rotation of the pelvis, right, in the hip sockets themselves. Right, and then if you'd like to, you can even have an audible exhalation as you really bring the hips back towards the heels. Right? And that might help you to sink deeper into the base of your body. Yeah. And then maybe rotating in the opposite direction now, right? As you inhale from the right side and then up towards, right, an upward facing dog or any variation of the heart reaching forward and then exhaling hips back and down. Right? And this is a pose in which you can experiment a bit, right? You can move with your breath. You can move faster than your breath. So when you move faster than your breath, right, you're really churning the whole pelvic girdle here so that you feel the fluidity a little bit more pronounced. Or you stay with the slowness of the breath, or you switch back and forth, right? Again, according to the indications of your body. So when we begin to work with the subtle body, when we begin to work with the nadis, the chakras, it's all about learning about the intuitive signs that the body gives, right? And learning to honor and respect those signs and move in accord with them. Nice. Good. And then last time you'll settle your hips back towards your heels. Yeah. And then, nice big breath deep into the base of the pelvis, into the caverns of the hips here. So, right, like water, the fluctuations of the mind, the modifications of the mind at the surface can be quite choppy. But if you go deeper, right, the water is still and calm. So in our pelvic center, attempting to go deeper, right, into the place that is still and calm and non-reactive, that is an observer of maybe the tornadoes of our emotions or the experiences of life that swim around us. Inhale, you'll come back to all fours, walk the hands forward, and you'll press back to your downward facing dog. Okay. And more attention to the pelvis here now by bending the knees. As you bend the knees, yeah, excellent. You can lift the tailbone up a little bit higher, yeah. And then feel, right, the lightness that comes in the legs for bending the knees, right? Reaching the pelvis up towards the sky. Usually the pelvis is drawing down to earth and there's a heaviness and solidity that drops the weight down. But right now, right, seeing if you can draw the low belly in and lift up and out of the upper body. Good. And then slowly gazing forward, you'll step forward towards the hands here in your forward fold, Uttanasana. Bent knees, nice and easy. Good. When you're ready, you'll inhale, come halfway up, take the hands on the shins or the thighs or the knees, right? Wherever is appropriate for you to get a nice flat back. And then you'll exhale, slide the hands down the legs, bend the knees, press into the feet, rise the arms all the way up. Coming to stand. Exhale, hands to the heart, Tadasana, mountain pose. Nice and easy with your breath here. And feeling the long tubes of the legs extending down from the pelvic girdle here, right? So the legs are not separated from the torso of the body, that they're an integrated unit. As you feel the pelvis stacking over the femur bones. When you're ready, you'll open your eyes and gently shift your weight to your left leg, right? Lift your right knee, and then step your right knee all the way back, right? Coming into preparation for your Virabhadrasana 2. Yeah. So your back foot almost to parallel with the back of the mat if possible, right? Your front heel in line with the back arch or instep. Good. And then from here, right, it's all about the feet. So you see Tema has removed her arms from the equation completely and really getting a sense of the way the pelvis is moving in space. So find a little bit, again, of fluidity as maybe you move the pelvis forward and back, and find the place where the pelvis feels most comfortable to stay. So for some of us that might be back a little bit, for others of us that might be a little bit forward with a deeper bend in the knee. For our purposes today, right, it's not about the depth of the knee joint, the front knee joint, but the comfort and ease of the pelvis, where you can breathe and bring the breath down into Svadhisthana. And then when you're ready, you extend the arms. Yeah, beautiful. And as much as you can, drawing the breath into the lower part of your abdomen between the two hip points where the transversus muscle lies. So the physical indication of the pose, the physical quality of your breath, then leads you into the subtle body awareness of the way the sensations are interacting there. So oftentimes when we move into the lower parts of our body, we feel nothing. It's blank or it feels empty and unavailable to us. But with more attention to drawing the breath down into the pelvis, we begin to gain a little bit more mastery and understanding of this region of our body. Good. When you're ready, you'll straighten your front left leg, right? Lengthening the arms long, hinging forward, and then just release the left arm just straight down. Don't try to reach for the foot, right? Straight down from the shoulder, and then turn the chest, turn the head up towards the sky in your Trikonasana. Slight micro bend in the front knee, but firm back leg. Right? And then from here, again, maybe you begin to shift the pelvis forward and back so that you can just feel, right, instead of a rigidity in the poses that sometimes we adopt, you can see how your pelvis can lead you to a softness of mind. Right? And then find that point where you feel most easy, most comfortable in the pelvis. Okay. And then softly bend into your front knee, rise up, back into your warrior two, right? Virabhadrasana 2. And then relax the arms down. Good. Take a shoulder roll up towards the ears, exhale out the mouth. And from here, you might need a block for your half moon or Ardha Chandrasana, right? So you can take a block in front of your front foot, right? Maybe a few inches in front. Good. And then from there, just taking your left arm forward, reaching it down onto the block. And then before you lift the back leg, turn the whole chest, turn the gaze upwards if you can. Right hand on the right hip, and then step forward, lift the back leg, flex the back toes. And again, if you wobble, if you fall, right, think of it as a celebration of the water element, right, rather than like having to be stiff and rigid, right? How would water be in this situation, right? Can you feel the flow in the body? And if you can't, where can you soften and relax the tension, especially in the mind more? And then exhale, bend into the front knee. No worries. Step back. Yeah. And then come back up to your Virabhadrasana. Right? Sometimes I talk too much, so it's hard to hold the pose that long. Good. Right? And then go ahead and turn both sets of toes in. Right? Heels out, hands on the hips. Yeah. And then from here, you press into the outer edges of the feet. Inhale, gaze up. And then exhale, hinge forward and fold, coming down into your Prasarita Padottanasana. Right, you can let the hands now come down towards the ground. Right, Tema's hands can go on the ground, but if you can't, then that's where you take your block or support and you place your hands there. And then again, fluid pelvis, so you move your hips side to side through the bending of the knee on each side. Let the head be heavy and hanging. So there needs to be a surrendering of the Agya Chakra, the intellect, right? Down into the base of the body so that the wisdom of the base of the body can begin to open up right to your ears. Right, and then next inhalation, you'll press into the feet, bend the knees, take the hands on the hips, come halfway up, lengthen the spine, and then inhale again, and then press into the feet, rise all the way up. Good. This time you'll turn your toes out, right? Bend your knees and just sit straight down. Good. You can take your hands to your inner thighs, and then just roll the inner thighs away from one another. So you imagine your tailbone, close your eyes, imagine the tailbone dropping down to the earth, but not just the surface of the earth, down to the center of the earth, creating one energetic polar line, right, magnetic line to the core of the earth, so that you feel your body in connection to something deeper. Good. And then inhale to straighten the legs, right? Turn the right toes to the back here, left toes turned out to the left side, bending into your right knee, and then, right, settling your legs first in your preparation for your Virabhadrasana. Doing this by maybe a slight shift of the hips forward and back and finding that place where they feel easy and relaxed. Right? And then the arms can follow. Arms, right? An expression now of the opening of the sides of the pelvis. Sides of the pelvis broadening and widening. And so is the heart, right? The two lobes of the heart, the two lobes of your pelvis. Your ischial crests, right? Like a butterfly, if you've ever seen in the anatomy books, opening and widening. So bringing the breath all the way down into the wide bones of the pelvis. Good. And then straightening the right leg here. Right, reaching forward by pressing into the back foot, and then just an easy relaxation of the right arm down, left arm up. Right, I like to have the back of my hand, the lower hand, pressing against the inner leg to help to rotate the spine. And then see where you can gain a little bit more fluidity in the hips, right? By softening any clenching, especially in the face or the jaw, right? And softening any gripping in the feet so that the energy is flowing through the body without any obstructions, any physical obstructions in the joints themselves. Right? And then you'll bend into the front knee and then rise up. Exhale, lower the arms, and just relax for a moment, right? You can straighten the legs or however relaxed posture is for you. Good. Now, you'll inhale, you can take your shoulders up, and then exhale, just drop them down. Good. And then you'll reach your right arm forward, and then maybe onto the block. Yeah. Right? You'll walk your left leg forward a little bit. You can hop it forward, right? And then when you're ready, you'll come up onto the left big toes. Press into the foot and begin to widen and lift the pelvis. Good. Now you can even do this against the wall, right? So using the wall here as I lift and lengthen, right? And I actually like that variation a lot. Good. And then broadening your heart a little bit more out to the left side and then soften the front knee, step down. Good. Turn both sets of toes in, heels out, take the arms up, and then hinge forward and down, coming into the side of the buttocks. Good. Inhale to rise. You'll take your hands to your hips, come halfway up, press into the feet, lift the chest. Turn the toes out, heels in, right? And then bend the knees. Take the hands to the inner thighs, coax them apart, knees are pointing away from one another, right? And then if you feel stable in the base here, bend your elbows out to the sides. You can take your thumb and your index finger together in Gyan Mudra, fingers out, 3 fingers out. Good. So elbows are drawing back, knees are drawing back, tailbone dropping straight down to the ground, lower ribs into the body. So the whole torso is hugging in to the central axis of the spinal column. And then press up, relax, arms down. Turn your left toes to the front of the mat. Bend your front knee, come down with the hands, step back into downward facing dog. Now gaze forward and just walk your hands a little bit closer towards one another, And you'll step your feet forward and then maybe take your right foot out to the right side, left foot out to the left side as you come into a squat or malasana. Right? If you find any difficulty in squatting, this is where you take a block and place it underneath, right, the base of your pelvis. Yeah. So it's a twofold process. Your tailbone, your sacrum dropping down towards the ground, pelvic floor opening. Right? Your inner arms pushing the outer arms pushing the inner knees away from one another, and that's going to cause the heart to rise and the back of the neck to lengthen. Good. See if you can shift the weight to the outer edges of the feet to lift the arches, and how that activates your adductors or your inner thighs. And then when you're ready, you'll take your hands down on the ground. Just step back to a plank position, right? So that you lengthen the fronts of the hip flexors, and then you lower yourself all the way down onto your abdomen. Head can come to one side, arms down by the sides of the body. And then from here, the lower back, again, is rising and falling with that diaphragmatic breath. Turn the palms over so that the palms are face down on the ground. And then walk the fingertips towards the feet a little bit so that you really lengthen the arms. Bring your forehead or your chin to the ground, right? For your Shalabhasana variations or locust pose variation, right? Traditionally, it's done with the chin on the ground, but some people find this uncomfortable. Forehead on the ground is all right as well. Good. Now bring the legs together behind you. And then just reach the legs long, so just walk them away from you. Yeah, good. Press more firmly into the outer edge, right, of the toes here. And then really pressing into the right top of the foot. Inhale, lift the left leg. Yeah. So think about lifting the leg by drawing it back behind you first, leveling the pelvis. Yeah. And then lifting and rolling from the inner thigh up towards the sky. So the lift of the leg is not just a strengthening of the lower back, but a lengthening and a broadening, right, of the whole back of the leg, of the whole kidney band area. 3, 4 breaths here, and then exhale. Lower the leg down, bring the head to the opposite side, right? And then if you want to, you can shimmy the hips a little bit side to side. Otherwise, just stay still and breathe as you wish. And really make sure when you come into these resting poses that you are completely relaxed. Yeah, right? You'll feel there are subtle contractions and held spaces, maybe up towards the shoulders, between the fingers and the toes, behind the knees, right? Kind of the non-traditional places, right? And you begin to soften and let then the fruits of your asana, right, flow. And then bring your chin back down towards the ground, legs back together. Okay, this time, the top of the left foot will press firmly into the ground. As you inhale, reach the right leg long and then up towards the sky. Yeah, level out the right hip, so drop the right hip slightly. There you go. Good. And then more attention to the right inner thigh. Make sure you're breathing deeply here, and then really feeling as though someone is pulling the leg back behind you to find length in the low back. So the pubic bone is still firmly against the ground, so are the two hip points, right? We're not rolling to the side here. Good. One more breath. And then exhale, release the leg. Release the head to the side if it's comfortable. Now you can even make a pillow for your head if you'd like, right? Whatever is going to bring rest to the body. And then you can bring your awareness to the heels, and the heels can rock a little bit side to side. Just soften any hold of the head of the femur bone in the hip joint here. Good. Slowly slide your hands back by the sides of your chest, and then lift up to all fours, and then back towards your child's pose. Good. Inhale to all fours. Right, you're going to go ahead and extend your right leg long behind you, just like we did with the lift in your locust pose, right? Lifting from the right inner thigh, leveling the hips. And then if you can, maybe reach your left arm forward, having a diagonal stretch across the back of the spine from the left shoulder down through the right hip. Good. And then take your left hand down, exhale, right knee towards the nose, right? And then releasing the shin towards the ground, right? Sweeping your left leg back behind you. You'll take your right knee out to the right side, maybe your right foot over to the left side in preparation for your Kapotasana or your pigeon pose. Let's take a lift of the heart first. So walk the hands back, come onto the fingertips, lift up. Right? As you lift up, lift the hips as well. And then with an exhalation, sink the hips down, right? And then releasing onto your forearms or however it is that you find release here. But wherever you are, making sure that you have the support for the forehead, the third eye center, so that the head can relax, right? If there's a lot of space between the hip and the ground, right, you want to make that hip feel very secure and protected. This can be with a little blanket roll that's tucked in underneath the hip, so that there is some ground, right? Some ground to touch upon and to release into. Especially in these lower three chakras, it's really hard to separate them in terms of they really play so deeply with one another. Whatever work that you're doing in the Muladhara is interacting with the Svadhisthana, and whatever work you're doing in the Manipura is interacting with the Svadhisthana as well, and then filtering down to the base of the legs. So this bottom three chakras are kind of tightly woven, right? And they work very nicely together, right? If you have that awareness and attention, or they can really work against you in terms of making your emotions or this feeling of fear or anxiety, right, override the system through the nervous system itself, through the adrenals and your sympathetic nervous system. So ultimately, it's this deep diaphragmatic breath that is going to be the crux of the practice for you in the lower three chakras. So as Joseph Campbell says, right, the lower three chakras, right, represent the animal nature, right, the instinctual nature, right, of our humanness, our needs, our desires, our hungers. And the Svadhisthana chakra, especially the home, the root of desire, both good and bad, right? Both helpful and harmful. Light and dark interacting here in a very real way. And to just be an observer of that interplay, that dance between the two. instead of shunning one or exalting the other, right? Becoming more familiar with the ways in which the unconscious motives of our actions are birthed in the Swadhisthana. Seeing if you can now bring your breath even deeper into the hip socket, right, as you inhale, and with the exhalation, right, feeling a little bit more open area there, right? You might come up against walls of resistance very clearly, right, in the hip socket, in your pigeon pose. Very natural, very normal also to feel many swells of emotions arising here. Right? If it begins to become overwhelming, right, you breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth in more of these yin breaths. Even coming out of the pose slightly, right? The depth in the pose is not measured by how deeply you're folding forward, but how much you are able to remain, right, in a balanced state while you witness, right, many things arising before you. Good. One more breath. And then take your next deep inhalation just to come into your hands and to feel the hands against the ground firmly rooted there. And then slowly press the hands into the ground. Rise up nice and easy. We've been here for a little while, right? So walking your hands closer towards you. Maybe fingertips back. And then again, lift the hips high. You'll press into the lower leg. Lift the hips high, lift the chest. Right? From here, if you have the balance here, you can bring both arms up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, let everything sink down, including your hips. Right? Come back to all fours first, and then slide the right leg long behind you. And just kind of shake it out. You can stay here in all fours. Some of you might want to lift up and just shake out the leg in three-legged dog. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. Again, getting that fluidity of the whole region of the hips, whole region of the pelvis. Good. And then come back to all fours. Right? When you're ready, you'll extend the left leg back behind you, lifting from the left inner thigh. Right, stay here or lifting the right arm, thumb pointing up to the sky. And then feeling that diagonal reach from the right shoulder across the back to the left hip. Breathing deep, right? Maybe softening the joints so that you're not so rigid here. And then the right hand comes down. Exhale, knee towards the nose. And then just lay your left shin on the ground. Reach your right knee back. Bring your left foot out to the right side, left knee over to the left side. Good. And then walk the fingertips back towards the hips. Lift the hips nice and high. Broaden the chest. And with your exhalation, then you let everything sink down onto your forearms. Again, third eye center against the block. Right, with the front of the forehead against the block. You can really calm the fluctuations of the mind, right? That surface level of the water that sometimes is a storm, sometimes are lots of rapid waves, one after the other. Whatever shape they're taking, right? That connection to something solid, the earth element, will help the mind dive into the depths of the water where it's quiet and calm. And to become more the observer of the experience, right? And you begin to see how your breath indicates the emotive nature of your body, what is happening in your body, right? So as you breathe, you might find your breath becomes a little jagged or shallow or deep. time, the breath is giving you an indication of what is arising up, maybe from the emotional sphere, right? What are the blockages that are deeply held, especially in the hips here? Deep in the emotional realm, right, of the base of the body. And for women, right, when we menstruate and the relationship between the moon and the water, the emotions and menstruation, right, all tied together in the second chakra region. So especially during the cycle of the moon, right, using this time to come deep into the center of the body, the base of the body, and to watch the emotions as they rise and fall. Or maybe even the opposite, a disconnect from the emotive experience, a disconnect from being and expressing emotions. So seeing both the extremes of the experience of, right, the emotional body. Diving deeper now into the physical area of the hip, especially right into your left hip now, and utilizing the breath to ease the contractions there by bringing the breath down into the hip socket as you inhale, and then just letting it settle there and widen and spread as you exhale. Right? So much attention to how the prana is moving and flowing down into the body. And the breath as a carrier for the healing force of the pranic energy. And what do you know? It's raining. Good. And say kind of sinking a little bit deeper into the body. Maybe feeling the movement of the hip joints, maybe feeling the movement of the heads of the femurs in the hips, so that there is, again, a flexibility there, an ease there. Last breath. And then with your next inhalation, just bring your attention into the palms and feeling the ground first. So really being careful not to push yourself up too fast. And then slowly maybe walking your hands closer towards you as you lift up. Right. Coming up onto the fingertips, right? And then lifting the hips up. You might even want to slide the right knee forward so you feel a height in the hips. Stay here or inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, and slowly take the hands down, slide back to all fours, right? And when you have the stability of your hands and knees, then reach the leg long. The left leg long behind you. And stay here, or go ahead and lift the hips and maybe lift that left leg and just kind of move it around, shake it out a bit. And then go ahead and drop your knees down to the ground and child's pose. So let the hips now collect themselves as one unit. Right. How nice would it be to practice in a rainstorm? I can almost feel it showering. Nature's helping us out right now to feel, right, more into the water element in the Swadhisthana chakra. When you're ready, you slowly just rise up enough to shift the hips to one side so that you can bring the legs forward. Right, come to face front. You bring the soles of your feet together. Right, you'll take the flesh of your buttocks just off to the side so that you can feel your sits bones a little bit more against the ground. Right, and then walk the feet as far away from you as you can to keep the soles of the feet still together. In a more diamond shape of your legs, right, for Kurmasana or tortoise pose. As you inhale, you bring the arms nice and high, and then as you exhale, you'll hinge forward, and then you'll take the hands underneath the shins out to the sides, and then gaze forward, right, reach your chin towards your heels, open the front of the throat, open the front of the heart, and then exhale, drop the head. Palms can be down on the ground, or you can take the palms against the backs of the feet here. Just feel the extension forward. Feeling like, right, water is just now breaking down the hard edges of the body. Right, when you think about earth, when it's saturated with water, right, we can mold it, we can move it, we can create from it. And it's the same thing here. Now the earth element is interacting with the fertility of the wellspring, right, in the center of the Swadhisthana Chakra. Water seeping into the ground. And then when that is nourished, right, rising up into the third chakra, harnessing the energy of the sun to grow and then flower into the heart. All these symbols, all these images are very important for the way in which, right, we transform and evolve, right, up the spine in our bodies, from animal to human to spirit. Let's take 2 more breaths as you gently just bow yourself to the earth. Relaxing now even the insides of the ears, the inside of the joints, and the jaw, between the teeth, right? Tiny places now. And then when you're ready, right, you'll inhale to lengthen the spine and to slowly rise up. As you rise up, you can sweep the arms back, behind you, right? Lean back, and then just step the feet wide onto the ground. And you'll just windshield wiper your knees side to side. Right, and then slowly come back to center. Right, return towards the center of your mat. Make sure you're sitting right in the middle of the mat here. And then you just go ahead and hold the backs of the thighs, plant the feet firmly on the ground. And now is the time to feel the strength of the pelvis, right? We've done the practice to find fluidity and ease, and now to feel the pelvis rooting down to the earth element itself. So as you inhale, right, lengthen the spine, just shift your weight back slightly onto your sit bones. Good. And then walk your feet towards you, point your toes onto the ground. Good. And then maybe inhale and lift the shins coming into Navasana. Now, release the gripping of the hands, maybe lightly holding the backs of the thighs or opening the palms forward. Good. And then letting the breath be smooth and easy, maybe even moving the arms a little bit, moving the hips so that you find that movement, that ease in the pelvis. Good. And then holding the backs of the thighs, maybe beginning to lengthen the legs a little bit more. Good. And then exhale, lowering the feet to the ground. Right? Take the hands behind you, lengthen out the legs. Good. And then go ahead and lower yourself all the way down onto the ground. You can take your hands onto your pelvis and really press your pelvis and massage it. As you move it maybe side to side. So you press down and then you just shake it a little bit side to side. And then laying your arms out, tucking the shoulders in, relaxing for your shavasana. So it's always nice to have a little support for the head, right? Especially to lengthen the back of the neck, and you can just close your eyes and soften and relax. Just feel the whole body grow soft and deep. Right? What is it that you want now to feel into in the deep roll of the pelvis? So in your shavasana, you're not trying to reach or grasp for any enlightenment, right? Just listening and seeing what arises to the surface of the mind, what arises to your watchful attention. If you've ever floated on the ocean before, just feeling that gentle mulling of the water that surrounds the spinal cord and that rhythmic flow as you breathe in and out. Slowly begin to rise your attention back to the surface of your body as you take deeper and deeper breaths into your belly. And with those deeper breaths, the whole body begins to wake up, become more alive through the fingers and the toes, right? The energy along the spine now dissipating and lengthening, right, through the nadis and the arms, the feet, the hands, the legs, the head, moving and wiggling, right? Whatever you do to wake up the body now, maybe stretching as you wish, as you wish. And then you'll pull the knees in towards your chest, rolling over to one side. And traditionally, you roll over to the right side, right, and that stimulates the Ida nadi, right, the lunar nadi or energy channel that lies along the left side of the spine. And then coming up to a seat. Right? Sitting on a blanket or whatever you need for a nice comfortable seat. And again, just being really easy, but feeling the firmness of the pelvic floor against the ground, and then this very fluid ease of the pelvis, actually seated, placed upon the earth. So as we move from the Muladhara, the earth element, to Swadhisthana, the water element, right? Seeing that harmonious contact between the two, to then build the foundation, right, for the fire to erupt and transform and transmutate. And then to utilize that power, right, that we create in the fire center for heart-centered activity in the world. And how very scientific, right? Moving step by step towards more liberation in our minds and our hearts, in our communities. Just take a moment to feel the water element as it resides in the body. And then if you like, gently folding the hands at the heart, bowing the head. When you're ready, you open your eyes into the room. Okay. Thank you all for joining us, Taylor. Thank you for practicing. I think we made it rain. I'd like to think we made it rain.
We did.
We made it rain. Guys, we made it rain. Okay. See you next time at the Manipura Fire Center next round.